makulit ko mga kaibigan, isa kang Bisayawa. Parang Bisayang walang pake. Go lang ng go.
Yawa.
Parang andito ka, like you own the world, pero there is that level of tawag nito, of push off from them na, oops, take it slow. Doesn't mean that the president is from Mindanao. You now have the guts to be a Mindanao in Luzon. But then, a few years after, there was a respect to people outside Metro Manila. There was this trend nga, if hindi ako nagkakamali, na nasira yung imperialistic view of the
Yes.
Yeah.
probinsya versus the city. So parang, naririnig ko dun a few years back, sabi nila nga, may mall sa Mindanao. Pagdating, Mindanao pala is maganda. Parang ganun. So the branding itself, the public platform through public debate, the use of social media, it all had a cohesion to actually influencing how the people would vote. So yun yung 2 cents ko from this conversation.
Actually, Anton, EG, no? Let me just recap. Kasi nawala tayo on air. We're actually broadcasting from Davao. And just so that our viewers know, no? Laging nawawalan ng kuryente doon. Hindi ko alam kung bakit. All the while, akala ko na-solve na natin yung power problem natin, no? Bakit ganyan? No? Yes, I know our director is telling us we're already live. Yeah, precisely why I'm saying it. No, we're live, and people has to know that there's power interruption in Mindanao, and I'm not talking of the fringes in Mindanao. No, that would somehow be understandable given the prioritization of power supply, no? But when you're speaking of Davao, that's something else, no? So anyway, having said that, the both of you were saying earlier that there's the keyboard warriors, no, had its heyday during the 2016 elections. Perhaps it was there was a need for that, so that really there's a flooding, no, of information, no, everywhere, no. Anton was also saying on the other hand na may kulang pa din no, kasi yung kandidato hindi naman natin talaga sila naririnig na sila yung nagsasalita, no. Ang nadidinig natin yung jingle nila, no, at yung mga usapan. Actually ang nag-aaway yung mga supporters nila, no. Keyboard warriors against keyboard warriors, no. And again, I'm just trying to make sense why trolls matter, because at the same time because at the end of the day, ako nga as much as possible kapag kami nag-comment sa akin substantive yung pinost ko, gusto ko mang mag-engage, hindi ko ma-engage kasi paano mo i-engage? Hindi man lang binasa yung pinost mo, tapos mas marami pang sasabihin sa'yo, tapos bastos, no? So I'm inclined to think, and I think I got this from EG, is nagbabago, no? I mean, ngayon hindi na ganun was this the currency of the trolls, no, and the kind of language, the kind of style that they use in the social media is no longer as acceptable ba, or as popular as before, no? So siguro ang point dito that I got from the both of you is the bottom line is to strategize, no, how to actually bring the issue to the public, no, and engage them toward this end. Kasi alam niyo, sa totoo lang, hindi totoo na may kinalaman sa pinag-aralan yung kaalaman ng tao Yeah, siguro when it comes to sophistication, yes. But when it comes to politika, kahit na yung blue collar worker diyan, okay. Alam mo, I've seen this in other countries, no. Yung mga tagalinis sa mga restaurant nila, sa airport nila, o kung saan man, magtataka ka, mga pinag-uusapan nila matitindi. No, when I stayed for considerable time in Germany, for example, there was a wide debate. Now they were shifting their source of energy from nuclear, from nuclear and lignite, which is coal din yung lignite, to more efficient technology, no? Wind and solar. Ang problema lang nila doon kasi siyempre yung solar medyo matabang eh, no? Hindi ganoon kalakas katulad dito sa atin. And people were actually talking about that, and not just about the shift in power, but the cost of shifting. In other words, nakakatuwa, no? Na nakikinig lang. Actually, merong mga lugar doon na pupunta ako, magkakape ako, no? Para lang makinig doon sa pinag-uusapan ng mga tao. No? And this is possible in that part of the world simply because yun yung pinag-uusapan sa media nila. No? Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps you might wanna to talk about, dito sa atin ang pinag-uusapan natin, ano? O, yung asawa ni ganito, ganito na yung asawa. O, eto dati lalaki, ngayon babae na. No? So yun yung mga pinag-uusapan natin. No? We're actually not talking about the substance the substance of the issues themselves. Hence, this is also what resonates to the public. Hindi din sila na-educate. Mas maganda nga ngayon nakikita na natin, no, na televise yung mga what's this investigations, quote unquote, in aid of legislation. No, saan pinapakinggan ng mga tao yan? Kahit na sabihin natin propaganda yan, whether we like it or not, meron at merong matututunan ng mga tao dito. Now, another thing that I culled from the both of you is that the Duterte branding really has been really effective. Now, my question to you towards the end of our episode, is it still effective?
Sige, ikaw muna, Aston.
Can we still see the same strength, so to speak, going to the
Nako, sir.
midterm?
Prof. Yes, nako, Prof. Masyadong mainit siya. Pero from what happened during the Senate hearing last week, I think the Duterte branding is actually working again. And I don't know if pinasunubaybayan niyo yung Senate hearing, it was really a subtle attack to the administration on how the people is looking for accountability in leadership. And it was really evident in the manner sa pagpunta ni former president in the Senate. And yes, if you look at metrics, if you look at data, I mean, lahat ata ng tao nakisubaybay in the Senate hearing. If you look at the comments in the memes after in the social media, may nagsasabi even na this is the first time na tinapos ko yung buong Senate hearing kahit ayaw kong makinig si Senator magsalita. So, I don't know what kind of branding or anong klaseng genius ang ginawa nila for that performance, pero it actually worked and actually appealed to most of the masses who's really looking for accountability and leadership accountability, to be exact. Yung sasabihin na ako, this is my fault. Yun yung right now is what resonates to most of the people, especially coming from that delubyo, the typhoon, Christine. Hinahanap nila yung accountability. I don't know if it's providential to nakakaano siya parang, my God, bakit? What's the timing? Is it a coincidence? So, how are we actually? How it actually happened? It's actually telling, knowing people is actually looking for the brand again, the Duterte brand na parang gusto ko ng leader na may say, may power, may grip, parang ganun. So will it work in the upcoming elections? I think it's too soon to say kasi halos soft launch pa ng mga electoral campaigns ang lumalabas.
Yeah.
Pero siguro in the coming months, medyo it's too soon to say. We have yet to know kung paano yung strategy nila, how do they handle the the upcoming campaign period. Nakaka-excite.
What do you think, EG?
Sir, for me, 2025, no? Tama? The
Yeah.
election will be actually uh, a vote of how effective Duterte is. Parang ano na siya, nilabas na kasi nila, clearly the Marcos administration is um, uh, getting the accountability from the previous administration through legal means, through either through the Congress, or eventually they will be filing cases to them. But now, like what Anton mentioned, they are now shifting the battle to the streets. Ika nga, the 2025 election will be a show of force na kanino pa ba naniniwala ang taong bayan? Naniniwala pa rin ba sila kay Duterte? That's one key, I think, na result that we need to look at. Kasi nagiging ano na he said, she said Congress has a different, clearly different voice of how it's uh, portraying Duterte versus the Senate. Now it's again the contentious now is how will the voters discern it? Will it be a vox populi na kung ano magiging result ngayon if the Dutertes will be vindicated? But how I see it is the Dutertes as a political family is stretched as it is. The mere fact Digong has to run for mayor again will really, in all fronts, I won't be surprised if there would be a impeachment case that will be filed against Sara. So onslaught talaga ang Dutertes in terms of, but in the same way the Dutertes will try to use the result of the 2025 election to either absolve their sins as to as how ERAP was in the previous, na the people have spoken. Okay, ako ang dapat naging presidente, wala akong kasalanan, etc., etc. Ang nakakatakot lang na trend, and I don't know, I want to get Anton's, is accountability is very much expected on the local level because you have to deliver the goods because you're frontline. Ang trend, to borrow the political strategist Alan Herman, when you go up the ladder, especially to the Senate, accountability diminishes. And they want explosive, harsh words, entertainment. Na ironically, 'di ba dapat as you become a higher leader with higher responsibility, you demand more accountability. And you just can see just the roster of the Senate of the recent people that we voted, it's more entertainment, popularity rather than accountability. Uh,
Ginagawa pa entertainment naman talaga eh.
let's hit the nail in the head.
Mali nga ako ng profesyon eh. Kasi kung tama yung profesyon ko, kahit na sumayaw ako ng budots, okay na eh.
Exactly, sir. So yun.
Just to give you an idea, no, I'm not going to reveal the results just yet because again, the result of the peers surveys is still under embargo, no, and that was taken between October 29 to October 31. Okay, yan ang field work, no, na nito. Isa lang ang pumasok sa Duterte slate, no. So sabi mo nga Anton, ano pa naman, no? We're still in the early stages, so we'd like to find out whether it really will have an impact. And yes, I have to agree. Ako mix ang reaction ko dun sa Senate hearing eh, no? Yes, when it comes to, you know, the Duterte trademark, let's call it the Duterte trademark. Talaga namang effective kung 'yun ang titingnan mo. Kaya lang kasi after the pandemic, naghahanap ka na ng nung mas substantive eh. No?
Exactly.
Oo,
To
yun ang
transcend.
problema ngayon diyan. Kailangan mo ngayon kailangan ng lamanan eh. Hindi na pwedeng puro drama lang, no? So, I don't know, medyo mixed ang reaction doon. Pangalawang point na tinitingnan ko, pareho ba yung brand ng Digong Duterte sa Sara Duterte? Kasi sa pagkakaalam ko, hindi ako taga Davao, but of course, I've been observing it rather closely. Even in the early 2000s, magkaiba eh.
Yes,
Hindi lang yung style ba, kung hindi pati yung grupo nila magkaiba.
exactly.
No, so the question now is whether what's this popularity and that so to speak pool uh, of the people applies to the daughter, no, as it applies to the father. Okay, the reason why I'm asking that is if you look at ito hindi Pierce survey ito, it's another firm, I forgot, I'm not sure if it's Pulse or SWS. Yung public approval ratings, halos pareho sila. Mas mataas ng konti si Inday Sara, yes. Yeah, she remains that way. But that is but expected. Why? Kasi ang tingin naman ng tao talaga in any political situation, yung presidente talaga tinitingnan eh. Kasi yan naman talaga ang on the job, so to speak, no? No. So sa madalit sabi, tinitingnan lang ng tao yung vice president base doon sa mga activities niya, no? Of course, whether or not related to the work of the line agencies, that's an entirely different story. So yun yung pinipilit kong i-reconcile, no? Another possibility on the other hand, if we're not able to determine whether it will go straight or left or right, is the third way is the people will look for an alternative.
Yes,
But
that's
so
true.
far wala. But so
There's
far wala
walang
alternative.
no one's presenting him or herself.
Actually medyo kalokohan yung saan ka naman nakakita, no, sa alam ni EJ yan sa tagal ng experience ko sa politika. Alam mo, kakaiba yung mga tao na magpapasurvey for 2028 presidential elections. Kalokohan yan eh. Yan, nakita mo yan, Anton, di ba? I mean, may press release sila na ito ang preference. Kalokohan kasi ang survey, ladies and gentlemen, pag tinanong po kayo, no? Ang itatanong po sa inyo ng field interviewer, kung ngayon po gagawin ang halalan, sino po ang iboboto ninyo? Ang critical doon yung point na ngayon gagawin yung halalan. Bakit? Ito po si Ed Tayo, tumatakbo bilang senador, ganito po, background niya, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. Pagkatapos ng interview, biglang merong balita na ito pala si Ed Tayo ay hinuli dahil sa napatunayang gumawa ng ganitong kaso and so on and so forth. Biglang bago na ang tangin ng tao. O yun nga lang split second na yun o minutes na yun eh, bigla nang magbabago ang pulso ng tao. How much more yung years ahead? Hindi ko maintindihan nito kaya alam mo minsan kailangan pagsabihan ba o wala nga kasi tayong tunay na political party, so when it comes to strategy it's really difficult to weigh in, no? So anyway, going back, may mga tanong dito, no? Babasahin ko na lahat kasi wala na tayong oras. To Sir Anton, in a radical transformation mode, do we need soft words or harsh words like the Duterte DNA? If normalizing harsh words like how Duterte does, wouldn't that mean creating a risk like reputation for an example on other countries such as on Southeast Asia? Hindi ko sure kung naintindihan ko ito pero subukan nyo na lang intindihin. Vote buying has become more accessible and more expensive.
Yes, that's true.
Yun yung mga FB live questions. So anyone can go, although one particular question is to Sir Anton.
May pat po, Sir Anton, pa talaga, no? So actually, to answer your question, no, hindi ko alam kung magkarugtong ba tong yung the use of language like Duterte DNA and the normalizing of harsh words. Unang sagot dyan kapag bigyan mo natin ng leveling off kung bakit siya naging sikat or kung bakit siya naging patok, the harsh words or that would actually talk on the reputation of our country in the Southeast Asia is because at that time, it's not just the Philippines, that the Philippine leader gumagamit ng ganyang klaseng strategy. We also can see in the rise of the populist democratic movement like from Russia, the Chinese, the Hungary, the US. Ito yung tinatawag nila that era of populist democracy. Kumbaga, kailangan nila ng macho, kailangan nila ng strongman because the previous administration have only been setting an example for a few, while the majority of the people lacks that kind of representation. At that time, ang naging language, the medium of language na naririnig ng mga tao is their expression of things. And hindi naman po ako isang linguistic expert, pero by experience of speaking, code shifting from Bisaya to Filipino, hindi nawawala ang paggamit ng harsh words, especially in our language. It's how Filipinos communicate actually. And sometimes if we just immerse ourselves in the Mindanao language is marami-rami nga tayong different dialects ng Bisaya. Pero ang hindi mo mawawala dyan is kung gaano sila ka-harsh pakinggan. But that does not mean that they are harsh. It is their manner of language. Ito yung parang, ganyan sila magsalita. Hindi naman kami galit. Hindi kami nag-aaway ng mga kaibigan ko ng kausap. It's how we speak. If sasagutin natin yung tanong mo in a radical transform, do we need soft words or harsh words? I think it's unfair to give an option kung soft or harsh. I think the answer to that, I think ang sagot dapat dyan is we need to find the right medium of communication na nagkakaintindihan tayo. Kumbaga hindi sa pabalang na pagsagot, hindi rin sa nonchalant na sagot, hindi masyadong in a conversation where you understand what I try to point out and I understand what you're trying to point out. Kasi pag sasabihin natin na if we normalize harsh words like how Duterte does and create a risk or reputation, for example, in other countries in the Southeast Asia, I don't think it does not have that much of an implication because at the end of the day, how the Indonesians, how the 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 Vietnamese speaks is their own manner of expression. Reputation-wise, that's them culturally. That's them on a systemic level. That's them on the core level. How we speak, that's us, the Filipino at the core level. So it's an expression, it's a language, it's a medium of communication. Yun yung sagot ko sa question.
EG?
Same question ba, sir?
Hindi, may pinagsama-sama ko na. So, bahala ka na kung alin yan. May vote buying. Palagay ko itong vote buying sa ito eh.
Yes, I agree. It will be more rampant. But at the end of the day, tumataas ang vote buying pero ang accountability nagdi-diminish. Yun yung nakakatakot ngayon eh. Parang it goes to that anecdote that I experienced in Sarangani when a certain politician talamak yung vote buying. The expectation now is that is already the public service that it is expected. It becomes normal, like what, to borrow Anton's term, normalized. Because we don't get it while they are in power, so might as well get it while we can, which is sad, and we should change it. Yun, that's my take on that.
Anyway, let me share you one thing, you know. When we started the studies that we're doing in peers in June, one of the questions we ask is kung kayo po ay boboto, no, wala pang slate no when we started the studies, no. Kung kayo po ay boboto, yung po bang iboboto ninyo dahil sa endorsement ng dating Pangulong Duterte o dahil sa endorsement ng nakaupong Pangulo o endorsement nung kung sino. Ang sagot nila doon, pakikinggan namin yung endorsement, lalo na doon sa endorsement ng dating Pangulong Duterte. Pakikinggan namin yung endorsement, pero titingnan namin isa-isa yung mga inendorso ng mga nag-endorso, no? Lalo na nga doon kasi yung tanong na yon kahit na generic referring supposedly to different uh, endorsers, no, or possible endorsers, ang naging sagot is more on the endorsement of the former president, for perhaps for obvious reasons, no? Perhaps everyone was already expecting that there will be some endorsement that's going to happen, and that was again early June, no? So um, um, ang conclusion is, even if there is an endorsement that is made by a popular figure, political figure like Duterte, ang sagot nila, titingnan nila yung endorsement. So halimbawa, kung hindi ka in-endorse, hindi ka kagad titingnan. Pero pag in-endorse ka, titingnan ka isa-isa yung mga in-endorse. At doon sila ngayon magdidesisyon kung sinong iboboto. No? So, what do you make sense of this? Is this some kind of change in the way people have approached? By the way, tinanong din namin, iboboto po ba ninyo yung mga napatunayan ng nagkasala ng mga korte dati? Ang sagot nila, hindi lang hindi, kasi focus group discussion to. Hindi lang oo, hindi ang sagot nila. Yung iba sumagot, nagsisisi sila na binoto nila yung mga napatunayang nagkasala sa korte dati. Ito ang isa pang interesting, so to speak. The third question that I want to share with you is, tinanong namin, kayo po ba ay iboboto ninyo yung mga magkakamag-anak o magkakapatid na sabay-sabay na tumatakbo? O di man o di kaya may aabutang kamag-anak doon sa kanilang tinatakbuhan? Aba, overwhelming yung sagot na hindi. Pero ito nga, yung survey itong numerical survey, nandun pa din. Magkakapatid. No? Pero nandun nga din kasi sa isang tanong namin sa focus group discussion. Bakit ba nananalo yung mga nananalo? Kasi nga hindi nila nakikita yung alternative candidate eh. Hindi nila nakikilala. No? So ano sa tingin niyo as your concluding words, so to speak, because again we would like to continue this again sometime soon, no, but we don't have enough time. So for your concluding words, what do you make sense of these findings, no, by our research?
Sige. I'll go ahead na muna. Age before beauty. Sige. As I always espouse when in my students, look at from the good governance formula that I always teach them. Una, ang test is perception. Sa lente mo, tingin mo pa lang, malinis tong tao na to, credible tong tao na to, sige, consider mo. Pangalawa, proseso. Ano yung mga pinangako niya? What are the platform? How will he or she will get there? Kasi that's one form of accountability kahit paano may plataforma. It's just so sad that now it's already a given strategy not to have any platform or not to engage in debate anymore. And lastly, third is participation. At the end of the day, elections does not stop after you vote for that person. Kung ano yung pinangako ng taong binoto mo, i-ano mo. You follow it up. And you evaluate that person the following election cycle. So, those three P's, perception, process, and participation. I hope that can help as an individual voter isalin. And I think that validates what you mentioned, sir. May kolatilya yung sinabi niyo, sir, na yes, the endorsement counts, but it has to pass through my certain filters pa. Yun po. para sa akin.
Okay. Thanks, CG.
Well,
What about you,
ako,
Anton?
sir, I'm really resonating with Sir Eugene, no? Yun, tato. Pero I'm more towards the perspective na, ano ikaw, will you have that kind of participation if that person speaks? O sits, will you still have the freedom to change your perception sa taong yun na nakaupo? Or pangatlo, yung proseso ba ng taong yun, meron ka bang, pwede ka bang makialam doon? So it's more of, yun nga sir, sa level, sa ngayon na nakikita natin, especially very close to heart na people are looking at those things. Kung if I vote this person, will I just be another simple person or will I have the actual freedom to participate? And I think that speaks loudly to the many the many small provinces and municipalities here in Mindanao na does not mean na in-endorse po siya ng current administration or the previous administration. It's more leaning towards the realities na wala lang talagang nakikitang alternative. And right now, kapag meron sila nakikitang alternative, it's actually the people, it's actually the locals who are rallying behind this alternative. Kasi nakikita nila na unang-una na baka nagsawa na ho sila sa kanilang paulit-ulit naririnig for X number of years. But then again, they realize also na those X number of years nung binuto ko, wala pala akong naambag doon. Wala pala akong, wala pala akong say. Then here comes the alternative. We will give this a chance. Kasi nakikita ko yung sarili ko na to actually have the participation. Nakikita ko na I have the right perception. And lastly, the process of how he views things is much more participative than authoritative. So, ganun yung closing statement ko. It's actually how a person, a single voter, can participate in the politics of things, in the governance, in their community. Ganun yung pulso ng mga tao ngayon.
You know, it's been a pleasure having the two of you guys, no? But everything always comes to a close. Let me just reflect a bit on what we're having and what's ahead of us. I'm inclined to think that uh, we're at a critical juncture. I wrote my most recent opinion is entitled that way, the critical juncture. I'm inclined to think that we're still relatively a young nation, so to speak. And reflecting on our exchanges earlier, ngayon lang natin na re-realize and in fact na-appreciate yung diversity natin. Dati kasi ang tingin natin yung diversity is a division. No? Just to jog your memory quite a bit. No? And I'm sorry if I'm being professorial in this regard. There was a wide debate until the 1940s, in fact, whether or not our language should be Filipino, which is actually Tagalog. Alam mo, kaya ako medyo lukewarm ako dyan sa linggo ng wika na sinasabi. Kasi yung linggo ng wika, Tagalog yan eh. Which is okay. Pero yung Tagalog kasi na ginawa nating Filipino, unti-unti nagiging halo na talaga. Yung Filipino, meron ng mga words na Bisaya dyan, may mga words na Ilocano dyan, nagiging halo-halo na. So, nag-a-adjust din, no? And nag-e-evolve, so to speak. No? And this is also the same trajectory, no, that previous that earlier civilizations had. And bakit hindi? Kasi alam mo, sa totoo lang, ang Pilipinas talaga namang it's a collective, so to speak. By the way, no, we are not a Malay nation, whereas we are an Austronesian nation. This has been studied, no, carefully by archaeologists, no, and anthropologists and linguists, so to speak, no. And we don't speak one or two languages. And by the way, these are not dialects. Again, the linguists, professional language scholars have already proven these are languages, except that precisely because we were colonized and we didn't have, no, let me emphasize that, we did not have that opportunity to evolve our own public institutions. No? Supposedly, when we declared independence from Spain, meron na tayong constitution. And we know what the constitution is. We know what a constitutional system is. Why? Because our forefathers were also educated, not here, but also abroad. But the critical point there is that what our forefathers knew was not necessarily of the kind that our colonial masters had in mind. Okay? And take note, I'm being careful. I'm not naming a particular colonial power here because we were under several. But of course, you already get the sense of what I'm saying. Because the moment we started our constitutional history, and this has been written by no less than the late constitutionalist Father Joaquin Bernas, no, we trace our constitutional history to that particular was this colonial tradition. So hanggang ngayon wala pa tayong sarili. At yun ang rason kung bakit wala tayong sistema. At yun ang rason kung bakit dumaan tayo doon sa pagkakataon na nakasakay ka ng LRT, nakadinig ka ng Bisaya, iba ang dating sa'yo. Nakadinig ka ng Ilocano, yung Ilocano medyo ayos-ayos pa dahil familiar ka na doon sa Ilocano dahil taga Luzon din yan. Pero pag nakarinig ka ng ibang lingwahe, Bisaya, Bicol, no? Ilonggo, no? Iba na ang nagiging reaksyon mo, pero ngayon iba na. We have now embraced those different languages, those different cultures, no? But it doesn't mean we're not united. Because whether we like it or not, we do not only share the same history, we share the same geography, and whether we like it or not, we will have to share the same future. If we don't get our acts together, if we don't think, if we do not hesitate with what we do, with what we choose, starting with these midterm elections, starting with advocating for real systemic change, I'm sorry, we will always have more of the same. Muli, magandang umaga po sa inyo. Salamat sa pakikinig at pagsubaybay sa amin. I hope that we will have you more in our next episode. Salamat po.